He stood not as a man, but as a force. When he opened his mouth, the earth trembled, and every soul in silence turned to listen. Not because of volume, but because of truth. Because somewhere deep within his voice was the sound of ancient courage, the fire of divine purpose, the thunder of a calling too great to ignore. His name, T.D. Jakes. But when he speaks, names fall away, and only power remains. The power to shake a broken man to his feet. The power to command a storm to be still. The power to remind you that no matter how far you've fallen, grace will always reach deeper. He doesn't whisper, he roars. Not in anger, but in conviction. His words are not designed to entertain, they are designed to awaken. Every syllable burns like coal pressed against your chest. You feel it, not in your ears, but in your ribs, your lungs, your spine. You don't just hear him, you remember who you are. Because that's what he does. He doesn't give you something new. He reminds you of what was already planted in you from the moment you took your first breath. You are not broken. You are unfinished. You are not defeated. You are being prepared. You are not abandoned. You are being positioned. And every time he speaks, walls fall. Mental chains shatter. Doubts flee. Because truth has a frequency, and when he speaks, your soul vibrates with it. That's the voice of a general, a builder, a father, a fire starter. That's the voice of T.D. Jakes. He talks to the fear inside you like it's a liar and makes it run. He stares into your excuses and burns them down. He walks through your regrets like dry land, and what's left behind is not shame, but seed. The seed of greatness, of purpose, of vision, of identity. You don't just walk away from his words, you rise. And when you rise, everything around you rises too. Your family, your mind, your discipline, your life. He doesn't offer comfort, he offers transformation. He doesn't pacify your pain, he uses it as wood for your fire. That's why people travel thousands of miles to hear him. That's why millions watch him through screens, tears streaming down their faces. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs fire. It needs truth. It needs someone who isn't afraid to call destiny by name, and command it to come forth. He speaks like a man who's been to the mountain. Who's wrestled with lions, who's walked through fire barefoot and came back not burned, but born again. You can hear the ashes in his voice, but also the oil. The oil of joy for mourning. The oil of purpose pressed through pressure. That's why it hits differently. That's why it sticks. That's why it spreads. Because he doesn't speak from opinion, he speaks from encounter. From experience. From being crushed and still rising. And in a world that worships image, he brings substance. In a culture addicted to noise, he brings silence that speaks louder than screams. In a generation looking for motivation, he brings conviction. His voice doesn't echo in rooms. It echoes in bloodlines. It shifts the atmosphere of generations. Sons hear him and become men. Women hear him and become warriors. Broken hear him and become builders. When he speaks, cycles break. When he walks, chains drop. And when he points his finger at the sky, even the stars pause to listen. That's not hype. That's not charisma. That's legacy. That's calling. That's the weight of divine fire sitting on the shoulders of a willing vessel. That's what makes T.D. Jakes different. Not his style, his surrender. You can imitate fire, but you can't fake heat. And every word he speaks carries the heat of heaven. That's why hearts melt. That's why dreams reignite. That's why a man sitting in darkness suddenly sees the path lit before him. He teaches you that pain is not punishment, it's preparation. That wounds don't mean weakness, they mean you've been trusted with a sword. That when you cry, it's not collapse, it's construction. Your tears are building altars. So don't run from the weight. Carry it. Don't curse the storm. Speak to it. Don't shrink when they doubt you. Stand taller. Because when he speaks, you realize you were never waiting for permission. You were just waiting to remember who you are. This is not entertainment. This is encounter. This is not a speech. This is a sword. This is not noise. This is soul surgery. And if you've ever been broken, lost, weary, ashamed, then you know that sometimes all it takes is one voice. One fire. One moment. One word. And that's what he gives. Not hype. Not sugar. Just truth. Raw. Holy, unstoppable truth. So next time you hear him, Don't just clap. Don't just listen. Answer. Because that voice isn't just talking. It's calling. And your soul has been waiting to respond.